Working for John Leonard.
Here's his review. Okay, I'd like to call this meeting to order with the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I will be recording.
Okay, yes. Is anybody else going to be recording? Mark, Julie? That's it? Okay. I almost forgot. All right. First on our agenda tonight is a report on the clerical union negotiation and the department head organizing. Mr. Ritter.
Mr. Chairman, you have in your packets two letters from Massachusetts and Northern New England Laborers District Council. One regards organizing clerical employees, the second regards organizing department heads. Two separate tracks, two separate issues. Let's deal with the first one first. You have also a list of employee names regarding organizing clerical employees in this town. And this matrix shows 15 or so names. The bottom three are still being questioned because the bottom three on this list work fewer than 20 hours per week. They are not considered full-time employees. So we're discussing that with the union, but very close to certifying this list with or without the last three names on it as the agreed upon list of employees that the town will not contest, fight with the union over, and allow to organize as part of mass laborers. Pretty straightforward. We would probably would have to have a certification election. We would go to the State Department of Labor. They would certify these individuals as a new local, and they would be negotiated with for a contract for the coming fiscal year.
Okay.
The union heads, and hence the second letter, a slightly different issue. This is still under advisement, as attorneys would say, meaning we're discussing, negotiating, and trying to determine the proper law. The section of law that pertains to organizing public employees is section 150E, chapter 150E of state law, and it is positively vague, opaque, and unclear when it comes to organizing department heads who do not have appointing authority. So I just wanted to bring to your attention that we are continuing discussions. Town council and the union council will shortly, probably in this week or next, have a discussion about this, and I will report back timely as soon as there's something worthy of report. But we have agreed to continue the discussion and continue the negotiation as to, one, whether the department heads of Templeton can, in fact, negotiate and be recognized as a unit under state law, and two, if so, if the answer to one is yes, then what type of relationship we would enter into with them. I chose to sever these two issues because I think there's very little issue with regard to the clerical employees, and there are many issues with regard to department heads, so that's why we're proceeding on parallel tracks.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? Yes.
Do we have a timeline?
I haven't produced one. I certainly could. It's sort of in my head and in, got his name, Norman.
Legier?
No, that's, this is the business agent. Well, his name escapes me, but
Sorry.
the individual I've been actually speaking with down in Hopkinton is Legier's next in line superior. The general concept would be that we'll get state recognition in January, they will approve, we will agree, and that we'd be able to sit down and negotiate February, March in advance of town meeting and in advance of a July 1 fiscal year. At that one, I really, other than actually hitting those hurdles, there don't seem to be any issues, any objective legal issues or problems ahead of us other than just stepping through that process in a timely fashion. Nice segue to repeat what I said. No, I don't think with department heads that we'll be able to straighten this out in time for the budget process in the coming fiscal year. I could be wrong, but there's clearly some differences of opinion on that.
Any other questions?
Chris,
Yes.
I have a question. Basically, don't I have a vote on whether they want to belong to a union before that transpires?
We have waived that.
Oh, you have?
They signed cards, they all signed, a majority,
Okay.
we
Right, so you-
certified the majority of them signed cards to ask for the vote.
Okay.
And then, in a meeting about a month ago here, we decided, based on that and the fact that I've had close discussions with all of them, let's expedite to the point of waiving our right to demand that they vote privately, because it's something from the Department of Redundancy Department. Once we know them and have certified them to actually have a vote where they vote to say, yes, we really meant what we said on the card, and we really do want to organize. So that saved us and them 30 to 45 days in this process.
Well, it's typically the
Yeah.
process, that's why I asked.
Any other questions? Tax delinquencies from the tax collector. I can read this if you would like.
Why don't you
Okay.
go ahead and read it into the record?
Is this from Carol Lee?
It is from Carol E. Eden, the tax collector.
There's a little note here. It says, prior to the advertisement of delinquent properties for fiscal 2011, there were 158 properties for FY 2012. Also outstanding with a balance due of $209,168.59. Following the FY 2011 takings, the accounts dropped to 110 with an outstanding balance of 142,986.37. These balances include interest and penalties.
And then you have the two lists attached.
So
Which is to illustrate the impact of actually publishing those results in the newspaper, and yet the fact also that there's still a $142,986 balance due and owing on fiscal 12 as we speak.
Great. I guess my question would be, it says, following FY 2011 takings, did we seize the properties or did they just pay the taxes?
No, they've moved into tax title. They've moved from the collector over to the treasurer's department. So
Okay.
that's a slight misnomer on her part. We
Okay.
haven't taken the property
So,
yet.
okay, so-
It's in tax title, I guess you could
We
call it.
haven't, I was hoping that that meant we had collected $60,000, but I guess not.
Well, yes, we have collected that amount.
Oh, we have?
Yes, that's the number of people who came in to pay up once they were notified that if they did not pay up, we would be moving them into tax title.
Oh, okay.
So it had the impact of knocking 60,000 off the balance, or closer to 70,000.
Okay, so 48, roughly 48 people came in and paid
That's
roughly
correct.
$60,000?
That's correct.
Okay. Yes, Virginia?
Why would the town of Templeton have delinquent taxes?
That's very good. I don't know the answer to that question. Probably because we just aren't doing our own bookkeeping. They're properties that we own, that we hold. Yeah.
That is-
There's a lot of them.
Clarify that we need a town of Templeton owes taxes. Did you say the town of Templeton?
The town of Templeton owes taxes
We have-
on
that's on the
properties that
list.
we own.
On property that we have taken and of residential and whatnot, other properties that isn't quite deemed municipal property yet?
It doesn't say, it just says it belongs, the record of, the owner of record is town of Templeton, town of Templeton, town of Templeton, 5
17 River
times.
Road is one, which is the house.
Which is
Would
one
those
we
be the
took
process
over.
that you discussed
I'm
not so long
Right.
ago about?
thinking it might be.
There's two groups. There's some that are ready for sale that just need to be auctioned, and there are some that we have just taken that haven't been through the process yet, that need to be prepped and then can be sold. And if you don't mind, I was given direction, and I'm moving forward on the actual preparation for auction of the 3 that we did talk about. The
Okay.
3 are definitely ready, and I think there's 2 or 3 others that are
Okay.
behind them. In the new year, we'll probably
Okay.
propose advertising and an auction of the properties that we do own.
Have you decided which way you're gonna go with them, or?
I kind of like to, the personal notion I have is that we deal with some local realtors and get some ideas of market value, and that we advertise in the newspaper. We may, with the right to reject all bids, we may It's not quite a sealed bid. It is an opportunity to publicly bid. You know, and you want to walk in with certified check, whatever. Because if we auction them, the auctioneer gets a substantial part of the auction value. So I'd like to see the town do a little better. And in essence, conduct our own internal, you can call it auction sale, an internal sale.
So the sealed bids, Jeff?
Well, they'd be public bids. You could do it either way, public
I know,
or
but
sealed.
sealed bids, because you're not gonna do an auction on the curb, through you, Chris.
Yep, go
You're
ahead.
not gonna do an auction on the curb, you're just gonna give a deadline, here's the properties, we're accepting bids up to this time and this date.
But they don't have to be sealed either. They could be an open bid process. It's like, we're auctioning off a piece of surplus equipment on a website. And has a very great benefit to the town, not to the bidders, which is everybody can see what the bid is and bid above it if they so choose. So by having it a public process, we can have, for instance, a tote board out front that says today's highest bid is $148,000, and if you want to come in and top that, you can raise the price.
That's not a bad idea, and circumventing an auctioneer who gets
Right.
20%.
Post it on the, you can
Right.
post it on the website.
Post it on the website, update it once, and you have to have a very clear disclaimer. I don't mean to be glib, as long as we have some clear operating rules. The website's updated every day at 3 o'clock with the highest bid of the day. And you bid it up that way so that the town gets its maximum value on the parcel.
Anybody have any questions on the tax information?
I do.
have a question. Are you going to publish the list to
The-
newspaper or what have you?
I think it's already been published.
I thought,
It was published, like, this list you're talking about, of the delinquencies?
I was under the impression it was only a partial list, I'm glad you walked in soon.
Yeah, good timing, huh?
Yeah,
Can I speak?
Go ahead.
assume my representative, because she knows more about it.
There were some people missing, but I think what needs to be included in that is who already is in tax title. See, what happens is, when Carol Lee takes her current delinquents, you
Yeah.
know, and puts them into tax title, slaps the lien on them at the registry of deeds, publishes in the paper and does that, then it goes over to the treasurer's office. We have a whole slew sitting over at the treasurer's
A lot
office.
more money than that, right?
There's a lot more money, people who haven't paid taxes in years, and they're, you know, and I mean, to me, that's what should also be published. Let people know who is already in tax title. You know, so there's really two lists. And those are the ones that we really should, I mean, we have a tax attorney now, right?
Yep.
And I think, you know, somebody should make the decision on which one's the big ones to go after. I mean, you know, there's people out there that if you look on the list, you'll see them, and they owe the town a ton of money, and I think if you stop foreclosure proceedings, they'll come up with the money.
They don't have to.
What?
Shouldn't.
They don't have to if nobody says anything.
Well, that's just it. I mean, come on, to not pay your taxes
But you
since
shouldn't
2008 or
You should
2007,
Right.
and have it just
You
sitting
shouldn't
out there?
discriminate, but if somebody owes 500 or 50,000, you shouldn't discriminate saying, let's go after the big guy. Well, he started down at 5,000 at one time too.
Exactly.
And it gets there.
Exactly, and I want to say something, and Tammy told me this.
I mean, come and make a deal.
I know there's one person, there was one, one parcel, not a person, that was not put into tax title. And I was told by the tax collector that she had a payment arrangement with somebody to do with this parcel. Well, Tammy, according to Tammy, and you can check with Dan now, Tammy told me the tax collector has no right to get into a payment plan with anybody. The treasurer does. And, you know, and maybe somebody who's diligently paying on what they owe. I can think of two people in particular that are paying as they go, and they pay like clockwork all the time, that maybe you could leave them out. But as far as the ones, you know, that, like, I'm not kidding, some of them haven't paid for, you know, 3, 4, 5 years. I mean, it's a little crazy.
Okay, so the list that we had and the list that was published was just Carol Lee's list.
Exactly.
Correct.
That wasn't
Exactly.
connected
And
with
like I said,
Dan's.
there were some that were excluded from that list, and I don't know why. Other than she might have had, and like I said, you might want to check into whether, you know, and even if, I guess what I'm trying to say is, even if they have a payment arrangement with Carol Lee, the problem is, if that owner goes into any kind of, drops dead tomorrow, goes in, files bankruptcy, you end up with, especially the bankruptcy, you end up with a lien, then we can't put it into tax title. That's what happened with American Tissue Mills. We were told for years that they were in bankruptcy. And we weren't, so Carol Lee couldn't put a tax lien on it. So you gotta it sits in limbo. And that's why in this, especially in this economy with unfortunately what's happening to so many people, you need to get it in there, you know?
Julie?
I think we need to publish both lists on, not in the newspaper, but on the website. I think that should be our first approach, because it's
Doesn't cost
inexpensive. It doesn't cost us anything. And hopefully it'll get people moving to the point where they either set up a payment plan or they pay off what they owe. Because when you look at the amount of money that's owed, that's what we have to cut, and we'll have to cut next year.
Yeah, and this amount, like we were just saying, this amount is just the new list. It has nothing to do with the
Right.
list that's already in Dean's office. I guess, yeah, getting that published would be a good thing.
Can I just ask a quick question?
Sure.
Because I don't see the end of that, and it's kind of directed through you to Jeff. That money, when it finally does come in, Jeff, does that end up in free cash?
Yes, it does.
Okay, and that's another important thing, reason to really, you know, go after it.
Yeah.
So I will make a motion that we post this list and the list of people already in tax title on the website.
Second.
Any other discussions? Hearing none, seeing none. Pat? Virginia?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
And I will vote yes. Do you, I have another question for you. This list that Carol Lee gave us was already in the newspaper. Do you think we might want to put Dan's list in the newspaper?
No, there's no reason to, I'm sorry.
Oh.
Can I speak?
Yeah.
There's no reason to? Because you don't even want to put, it's the law, you have to publish it in
Before it goes
the
in the-
newspaper, before you can put it into tax title.
Okay.
Once it's in there, it does it. It's just, it's public knowledge.
Okay.
So just put it where it's free. It's too expensive to
Okay.
put it in.
I just figured,
Sorry.
if they don't see it on, they may not see it on the website, but, you know, if they're reading the Garden News and see their name, they may be,
I know. And
Somebody will see it.
You know,
yeah, I'm sure.
I don't like doing this, but I don't see an alternative we have as
It's a
a
lot of
town.
money.
So,
Yeah. Everything rags is 6,000,
Yes.
5,000.
Mary's got an idea.
Go ahead.
Mary's got a good idea.
They should be put in the annual report.
Yep.
Anyway, every year, I would think.
Outstanding taxes.
Yep. Yeah, I think they used to be.
Cover. That's why you balance your books to show all your.
And I know that they are.
Show you pay taxes.
Other communities.
Post them on Carol Harris, bulletin board, post them in all 4 precincts, what the heck?
That's not a bad idea.
It's not a bad idea. Just publish it as an appendix to the annual report.
Okay.
With a disclaimer, if there's any mistake, we, apologize, whatever, but, yeah.
You wait till you see how many
Does that
taxes
need a
people
motion?
paid before December 31st.
No? She's saying no. She's saying it doesn't need a
Okay.
motion, we can just put it in.
For about 3 weeks.
Okay. Did you get a hold of Dennis?
He's not going to be here tonight, but I can brief you.
Did you vote to do something or what? Is he,
We voted to put both on the website, yes.
what was the vote?
3-0.
He's not technically appointed.
3-0.
Yes.
no,
One
was the
one
zero?
abstention.
One abstention.
3 yes, 1 abstention.
Why was that? I have a right to ask. Why did somebody?
You can abstain anytime I want.
Yeah, he doesn't have, he can abstain if he wants to. I don't know that you, I don't think he has to disclose why, does he?
I don't think so.
No.
No requirement to explain your vote. Your vote stands, for it speaks for itself.
You said he's not gonna be here tonight?
Correct.
Okay. Did I see?
I did want to bring to your attention to
Yeah.
the fact that we have received a fiscal 14 request from the Northeast Quabbin Services, Veteran Services District, 6.8%, proposed 6.8% increase over our budget for fiscal 13. It's early in the year, he's putting this information out there very early. And I also note that the costs of this operation are distributed by population across the towns that participate in the district, which can produce unintended consequences. Since the veterans do not live based on population, they live wherever they live, the costs associated with serving them don't bear a direct relationship to the way the costs are distributed. And that's just a function of deciding to spread it based on population on a per capita basis, which has been done historically, versus distributing it on the number of veterans cases you serve, or the dollars of benefits that were paid out on behalf of the town, which would be another way of doing it. It is not required in our current contract. So I'd simply raise to your attention that it might be time to look at the contract and talk to Neil about changing the way you distribute your administrative
Yep,
costs.
that would make sense.
Yeah, kind of looking at this, the director's salary is like,
Well, he moved down to 34 hours.
I know, but out of the 65,000 that they collect from all the towns, 41 of it is for him.
Right. You know, I mean, do we know how many veterans we served?
Actually, the
I
treasurer
know
knows.
the dollars, I don't know the number. The dollars that were budgeted for this year is $35,000 of benefits and $20,600 of expenses to administer those benefits.
So this is,
So it's going from 26 to 21,992.
Correct.
Right. But the benefits will probably go up as well.
right.
And to administer $35,000 in benefits at a cost of $22,000, that's a very high ratio.
Do you think so?
I think so. I'm not a math major, but I think that's a high ratio.
Does that matter if I heard that correctly?
Well, yeah, there are some
Yes.
years where we could only have one or two, or maybe none. No.
So when you base it on population, if you only have 2 veterans, you're paying 22,000 to administer 30,000 in benefits?
Do it for 10.
All right. I'll second that.
Yeah, I mean, we have the second highest population, but who knows what we have veteran-wise, you know? it's-
Perhaps who knows?
Oh, with all due respect to the veterans, I mean, that's like a nonprofit paying his CEO $20 million.
Well, I'd rather spend 50,000 in benefits for veterans
Come on.
and 10 on administrative costs.
Yeah, it's crazy.
They should be able to handle those numbers.
You would think. I would hope.
I can tell you, we have a lot of veterans who get the veteran exemptions. We have, up into it, can I pull up the number on that? No, but
Can't
a
you?
lot.
Okay.
It's,
A lot?
you know, I think it's a lot for a town our size, yeah.
In the
The
hundreds
fact that
of
we
thousands?
budgeted
Oh, no, no, no.
35,000.
What,
Numbers?
veterans,
50?
how many
Hundreds?
veterans in town?
Yeah, hundreds or
Um,
thousands?
No, not thousands, God, we don't get 8,000 people in town to begin with.
Well,
I'd say maybe I have a good 40 or 50 that get
They get the exemption.
yeah.
Right.
So you have to be a service-connected disability to get that exemption,
Right.
so, which is probably the people they're helping, so,
I would hope.
yeah, I would hope, yeah. I'd hope they're helping everybody, all of them.
Yes, Beth.
I missed the beginning. Who is this for? I heard him say something about North Quabbin.
North Quabbin
Northeast
District.
Quabbin District Veteran Services. They are our administrative agent for the Veteran Services Program.
Because we used to have Mr. Grout in Winchton that took care of all the veterans in this area. And they're two different,
He's dead.
he was
I know
never
he
assigned.
I was trying to think of a good way to say that. He's not doing it anymore.
Mr. Grout was never assigned to Templeton. He took on Templeton out of gratitude
Oh, okay.
for the veterans.
Because nobody, he did an
He was a great guy.
incredible job.
Yes.
And you had a lady take after, took her out. There was some lady did it. She come from Peterson. And this guy whittled his way in. And then this guy got a manager like we had in town, and where is he tonight? He's supposed to be the presenter. Where is the agent from the town? Where's Mr. O'Brien? He's our agent. Why isn't he here? Explain what's going on in the program.
Mr. O'Brien felt he
Don't know enough about it, get off the thing, let somebody else do it. That's easy enough to do, he just wanted his name on the ballot, right?
Should have come.
Oh, I'm telling the truth, that's the
Yeah,
truth.
he should be here representing.
Well, you could say Carol Lee should have been here. or-
Oh, no,
That's his
no.
job.
No one
That's
should have been
true.
here.
That is his job,
That's
that's
true.
why he
That's the way
gets
he
paid.
wanted to do it.
I'm sorry, you can't just say that about one person, because
No,
everything.
no, no.
One person.
It's enough.
Yeah,
Let's get out of here. Any other discussion on the veterans? Do we, how would we go about
Get rid of it.
talking to?
Direct me to give them a call and discuss it.
They're a real
Just,
gentleman.
you know, when's the contract going to be renewed, and can we talk about an alternative distribution of costs? And then I'll report back, because I will have to pull the contract and look at it as to, I know it was a long-term, 3-year, 5-year contract, which was signed.
Yeah.
So then I would move to have Jeff
Yep.
take care of that.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? To have Jeff call, see if we can renegotiate. No discussion? All right, Pat? Yes. Virginia?
Yes.
And Julie?
Yes.
All right. The next item is Mr. Ritter's 6-month review as town coordinator. I just received some of these, so I have not been able to roll them all into one big eval, but I do have all 5 selectmen reviews. I think probably the easiest way to do this, if people are agreeable, is if there's any certain area that, as we just, I'll go through the areas one by one. If there's any area somebody really wants to feel strongly about making a comment, you may. I believe you have them all in front of you as well. I have a couple of the originals, and I have copies of the others. Does anybody have any other way they might want to do this? Otherwise, I'm just going to start with section 1 and go on through.
Yes.
It's just going to take me a minute to organize. Yes?
Do each of them have an overall rating on them? That might speed up the process. If
There's an overall rating at the end.
That would probably speed up the process if you do the overall rating of each of the 5, and not necessarily what you have to end up saying. It's up to you, I would think, as to whether you want to let, which selectman gave what rating. I mean, that would probably speed up the process if you gave the overall rating and said, okay, and if you're on a scale to 1 to 5, if it's a 2.5, and a 3, and a 4, or something like that, and some dialogue to each of those.
Yeah, Virginia actually put her overall rating, she wrote it in, but none of us, no other of us did.
Mine is hard to calculate, so.
But, I mean, it wouldn't be that hard to figure it out.
Bennett wrote a lengthy comment.
Huh?
Bennett wrote a lengthy comment on overall.
Yes. I don't know, if people want to just do their overall comment, I can do the averaging out while you're doing that. It's up to you, however you want to do it. If you don't want to say anything, I can just,
Why don't you do the averaging? I'll
Okay.
read mine and Jeff Bennett's, and then,
Okay.
okay,
okay?
sure, I can be quick.
All right, so my overall rating was a 5. My average came out as a 5, which is outstanding. My comment was, Jeff Ritter has brought professional management to the Selectman's office. The management of the day-to-day operations in town is handled in a competent and transparent manner. Under adverse working conditions, the active and successful campaign to remove Mr. Ritter, Jeff Ritter responded in a professional manner. Templeton is fortunate that Jeff Ritter agreed to come back in June after being terminated in April, working for free until July 1st. Jeff Ritter devotes countless hours over and above his regular hours to get the job done. I wholeheartedly endorse a 3-year contract extension this spring. And do you want me to read?
Why don't you read Jeff Bennett?
Jeff Bennett?
Sure.
Overall comment.
All right.
2/3.
Yeah, this is it. All right, Jeff Bennett's overall rating, I didn't do the math, Chris is doing it.
That's all right, I'm doing it.
Okay. Considering how Mr. Ritter was told he should not take the job and how he could be terminated in the near future, see minutes and recordings of the interview meetings. One person making such comment is Virginia Wilder, who shortly after the recall election made it her business to fire Jeff Ritter. This facts are contained in public records, and I can attest to these facts. I would gladly do so under oath at any time. Even as the process of firing Jeff Ritter, Mr. Ritter kept plugging along doing the work for the people who he was hired for, the taxpayers of Templeton. And Mr. Ritter kept on doing business and following the instructions of the
Can I
selectmen.
make a comment here?
Even
How
while-
is this an evaluation of his?
Yeah, they're evaluating me, not him.
No, I'm not, nothing to do with names or anything else, but how is this a evaluation of his job performance? All
He's
it's
not
doing is
here
going
to
back into
answer
history.
it. He's not here to answer it, I'm just reading what's in front of me.
So
I didn't
maybe-
write it.
Read it.
Thank you.
Well, if it's not, yeah, I mean, really, if it's not evaluating Jeff, and same thing with part of yours wasn't evaluating Jeff either, it was going, hashing back old
Well,
issues.
all right, let's discuss it then. Which part of mine, because I am here to defend it. Which part
Hold on.
is hashing over?
All
I
right,
believe he
I
was
gotta
removed
find
in
yours.
April. That's a fact. Jeff Ritter was removed in April by the Board of Selectmen
Yeah,
by a vote. That's a fact. Okay? He came back in June
Yep.
and worked for free until July
no,
1st.
not really.
He didn't work for free.
He didn't work for free.
He had already been
I
paid for
have it
that
in
time.
quotes.
He had, I know what you have in quotes, but he had money that he would have had to pay back to us had he come back. So he just chose to work for free instead of having to pay us back the money, and then we would have paid him. So he didn't really work for free.
Okay.
Let's just clarify that.
Well, from my perspective, that's working for free. He didn't have to do
Where does this
that.
evaluation go from?
He didn't have to.
From
From 6
June,
months.
when he came on board.
So there shouldn't be anything
From before
about
that.
prior to June when he came back.
That's my
It's an
comment.
evaluation of his job performance while he's been here.
Right.
That has nothing to do with it.
Well,
No,
that's,
picking
that
up.
I got to do the evaluation. And you're welcome to your opinion.
It's for the
This is
past
my
year.
opinion.
It's for the past year.
No, it was
No,
from
no,
June,
when he
when he was
began in
hired.
Okay.
But I think people need to remember what had transpired beforehand to understand
Everybody knows what
what went
transpired
on.
beforehand.
Well,
That shouldn't be on this
I put it in
evaluation.
writing. I put it in writing and I signed my name to
But
it.
I also did mention, the fact that I was glad that he returned, but I didn't mention any of the details, but I can read mine after if you want.
Right, well, that's,
So-
I wrote what I wrote, Jeff Bennett wrote what he wrote, and I believe that everything I've said is true. They're based in facts, not opinions, and that Jeff Ritter does devote countless hours above his regular hours to get the job done.
I never said it wasn't fact. I just said, what has it got to do with his work
Evaluation.
from June until present day, or whatever this period covers? It has nothing to do with it.
Well, I think you need to be recognized by the chair before you speak out, because this is, I guess, how we're doing it. Obviously, you don't like the way I do evaluations. I'm not doing your evaluation. Be thankful.
Read your entire evaluation into the record.
All right.
That's
I think-
another way to.
So,
Is it okay if I read my entire evaluation into the record?
yeah,
Yeah, I don't know what you want to do.
I don't think we need to do that.
right.
I will tell you, his overall evaluation, taking all 5 of ours and then averaging it, was 4.2 out of 5. So, obviously, we think he's doing a pretty good job.
Read mine.
You can read yours, yes?
This
I can read
is
yours.
my overall rating comment. I spent much time working with Mr. Ritter. He presents a professional, knowledgeable, and ambitious picture. He has had many ideas for cost savings and also for making operations run smoother. He interacts well with all board members and with other employees and with the public. He goes above and beyond the expectation for this position, both in time spent and productive outcome. He is not afraid to do work in others. He is not afraid to do work with others to complete project for the good of the town, even though it may not be part of his job description. I would expect his tenure to be a lengthy one here.
I'll stay.
Very nice. I didn't hear a score. I mean,
My overall score was 4.5,
Right.
which is rounded off as 5 to make it outstanding.
Yeah, she's the one that did her, actually figured out her overall. So, that's Julie's, this is mine, I believe. My overall rating comment is kind of short because I had a lot in the interior part. I was so glad that Mr. Ritter was willing to come back to Templeton in June of 2012. He has restored stability to our Board of Selectmen office. He handles his business in a professional manner and is an asset to the Board of Selectmen office and to me personally as the chairman of the Board of Selectmen. With me working out of town, Mr. Ritter is my eyes and ears during the day. He is in the office handling town business and communicating with me regularly. It would be my recommendation that Mr. Ritter be offered a 3-year contract in the spring of 2013. That's my overall. My overall assessment was 4.6. Because I don't think anybody's perfect. That's why he didn't get all 5 of them. I'm sorry, nobody is perfect.
And that's
Fair enough.
But
If we could
Well,
clone him,
there actually-
we have it made.
There actually was one question that I don't think was really fair to even go for.
Oh, I think you made a comment on your
I
thing.
did make a
did you want to
comment.
read it?
Yeah,
Huh?
The overall
Oh, you
rating
did.
is also
Okay.
satisfactory.
What do you need?
just hold on a minute. There was one. Is that right? Yeah. Goal performance attainment, considering resources available is progressing with fiscal year goals. I put an outstanding in there just because it was consistent with the other ones I did, but my comment was, I don't believe this assessment can be fairly made because of the amount of time that he has been here, and also because of the fact that he was not provided with a list of goals by the board, nor have we been made aware of any set of goals that he may have made for himself. I believe that this can be better evaluated at a future evaluation period. I rated this on an average of all of the other ratings I was given.
Can I comment, Mr. Chair? I think that's very perceptive, and I would agree that what has been lacking in my engagement to date is a list of specific goals that the board wants to accomplish and, likewise directs me to accomplish on their behalf. So it's a two-way street. There should be specific board goals, there should be specific goals for the coordinator, and the two should meet
Right.
publicly and in the middle as well. They're not the same sets of goals, because I have a slightly different set of goals than yours.
Fair enough.
We should work on that before.
Yeah, just like, as advisory board chairman, I'd like to just remind the board that the advisory board did come before you in the month of July and suggested that the board end up having goals, which would be part of his. It makes your job for evaluations as well as moving ahead a lot easier if you have goals set for the overall operation for the select board.
Right, and those are overall select board goals that we have made and verified, but although he'll fit into those, there'll also be others that we would expect of him that he would expect
Right,
of
but
us.
they would be supported by him, whatever goals that...
Oh, I'm sure, yeah, I'm sure that those would be supported by
That's what
him,
I'm talking
right,
about.
right.
So I guess if we wanted to,
We're at 3 evaluations, where's the 4th one?
It was
we
was
stopped her from
voluntary.
reading Jeff's. And Pat didn't have an overall comment, he just had the evaluation. You don't have to write comments on everything. Some people did, some people didn't.
What was
But-
the overall evaluation?
Satisfactory.
By going by our numbers, I would say you're between above satisfactory and outstanding. You're 4.2, 4.3 range. So,
Does that mean you're asking me to stay on?
yes.
A few more months, maybe.
have 6 more months, and then we, but, you know, I think we should,
Well, I wasn't aware that we were supposed to be making a recommendation about,
it was, yeah, it was really
a
just.
3-year thing.
No, we just mentioned it, I mean.
Because that
that'll-
certainly would have
that'll
done
come
in the
in
spring.
March or
Yeah,
April, whenever we,
right.
This review is a requirement of the contract,
Right.
which is your opportunity to assess
yeah.
early performance.
So,
And for the record, this is a 1-year contract, it expires June 30th next.
Yeah.
So our relationship could end there. It's quite possible, but we'll have to see
Are
what
you telling
happens.
us what you believe on it?
So the ladies are reading, nobody wants you to go.
I have no plans to move on at this time.
So I have all 5 here, I have 2 originals here, I don't know if you have the other originals or not. If you want the originals for the
I
files.
believe here.
Yeah, the original I gave to Nancy. Yeah, I want
She gave it
the
back.
original in there because this one, the one I gave to him, is the same, has the same writing on it, except it's not all typed. It was handwritten at the end.
You have Jeff's original. I
And
just
this
was
one's
there.
not signed, I don't think.
You have mine here, and Patsy's here, and Julie's is here.
So, yeah, you've got the original.
Yeah.
I have my original.
You've got my original, right? Yep.
Okay. So keep up the good work, Mr. Ritter.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Trying to reorganize these. There you go. Yeah, that's true. I don't have a copy of mine. All right, any other old business? Yes.
I think it might fall on the old and new, but I'll wait till you get the new business. I want to
Okay.
give you some updates as to where the advisory board is before the budget and some other updates also.
Okay. Any old business on the board? Any old business?
I have some old business. I was looking through some of the minutes and references that were made to the vote that we took to send letters to the Light and Water Department.
Yep, I had, go ahead.
Okay. I have the draft minutes here. JF would like the Board of Selectmen to write Light and Water, wants to know what debt is associated with what phase of which project, the breakdown and how that would be funded. And I believe at the end of that conversation that we had at the Selectmen's meeting, and that was October 22nd, we voted, and I made the motion and Virginia seconded. There was one abstention. 3 yeses to send 2 letters to the Light and Water
Right,
Department.
and they're in the,
Right.
book.
And I've got,
What we actually voted for is to have Mr. Ritter rewrite the 2 letters
right.
and then look at them to see, make sure that we agreed with them, and then if we did, for him to take them up personally. Since that time, do you
Yeah,
want
well,
to keep talking now?
No, go ahead.
Since that time, I've had other information that I wasn't aware of before that vote. And I guess it's no secret, it's been on blogs and things, is what I'm told, that you and your husband had already written a letter to him prior to that, and that he is so angry about that letter that he's considering litigation. And so I personally do not want the Board of Selectmen involved in that kind of litigation. So I'm not signing that letter.
We're talking 2 separate issues. We're talking
Well-
about writing a letter as a Board of Selectmen to another department in town. Under Chapter 93, Acts of 2000. Okay? We can have we can request information about the water department. The water customers in town are also our constituents. And to date, we don't have any idea on what the plan is in writing to address the multiple water main breaks and what the plan is going forward to make sure that that doesn't happen again. We don't know, as a board, we're gonna go out for bid. We went out for bid. It's been awarded for Baldwinville Road. There were multiple water main breaks on Baldwinville Road as well. I don't believe that there's a plan to replace the water mains on that section of Baldwinville Road that we're going to put a new road on top of. And that's why I wanted to have the board, I can't do it as an individual, as a citizen. If Mr. Driscoll cares to sue my husband and I till, that's his choice.
But if we send this and make him more aggravated,
No,
then
I-
we become part of that
This is-
litigation.
No.
Can I speak? I think if the Board of Selectmen sends the letter, it's going to be taken in a more positive light. Not having spoken with Mr. Driscoll recently, but in the past, back in September, maybe October, we did discuss this. And my feeling is, as a water and sewer commissioner, that if this letter comes from the Board of Selectmen.
Water and electric commissioner.
Yeah, sorry, light and water, nothing to do with sewer.
I would put that.
It'll be more receptive than having come from me and Julie. And that's why we broke it down into two categories. One, it's going to probably take him a while to look up all the information he's going to need to look up between him and Ron. And the other one, they can probably get fairly quickly. I've already said I will not sign the letter because I am on that commission. So I feel that that's a conflict. And if I can just speak real quick on that. Having been on that board for the last 6 months, I think it's a big conflict of interest for anybody on this board to be on any one of these elected boards. I've come to realize that serving on the Light and Water Board. And I would recommend that we try to change the bylaw in the future that Board of Selectmen members should not be on another elected board, because I just think it's too much conflict. It's giving me more gray hair than I need. I'm gonna look like Will pretty soon.
You're coloring it, right?
What I wanted to say is, I've been in your position, I've been in your shoes, and it is a fine line that you have to walk.
It is.
And when you're, as chairman of the Board of Selectmen, you need to look out for the interests of the whole town.
Yep.
And when you're on Light and Water at those meetings, you're looking at just a very narrow focus and to do what's best for that department. And there are conflicts that come up.
I did have a discussion with Jeff last week about the letters, and he informed me at that time that you didn't want to sign it. And he is, I think his plan is to go talk to Mr. Driscoll, feel him out. And
We're trying to schedule a meeting
tell
this
him
week.
that the letters are coming. But I don't think I don't think he'll reject them out of hand like he did the personal letter. I think because it's coming from the Board of Selectmen, they're going to take it and do it. That's my feeling.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Speaking as a citizen, this is no more than requesting an update from another organization in the community, which, as you see, I come here time to time to give you an update, and that should be done, and that's how I looked at the request, is an update as to where we are, and it shouldn't be a big issue of sending him some letters and saying, okay, we want some updates on these particular issues, and go forward for that.
I think, well, we're throwing a lot at him at once, but,
This is what I said to begin with, let's just let Jeff go and talk to him. And if that doesn't get us what we need, then we can deal with the letters.
I'm just at the point where the frustration level, I've gone to the meetings, I've asked the questions,
Quiet,
I've
please.
been, brushed aside, you don't know what you're talking about. It's a request for information.
Yeah, I don't
I've made
think it'll
requests for
occur.
information, public records requests, and have been given the runaround as well. So I think as a Board of Selectmen, we owe it to our constituents. This isn't for Julie Farrell, this is for the town. This is to figure out how we're going to go through and address some of these issues, because water affects the rest of the town. It affects our roads.
I understand and I agree.
I don't know of any other way to do it, and I don't think there's anything offensive in these letters. It's a request for information, certain items that I think...
I think the way they were written was very well done. I don't know if Jeff wrote them or one of the girls wrote them, but I think it was done well.
Well, I think, if I might leap in here, just having this discussion on the record is very important. It's a public meeting. I can certainly take these two letters, whether they're draft or not, signed or not, with me to meet with Mr. Driscoll and just gauge his reaction, because it is, in fact, just an information request. It's not an accusation or a complaint or anything. We just are seeking some information. So I think it's pretty neutral. And he and I are trying to find a time to meet this week.
Yes.
Chris, I mean, with all due respect to both your positions, if you're not gonna act on it as a selectman, are you gonna act on it as a commissioner at the other end of the letter?
I probably will not vote on that one either. But I will.
I just think your
I'll give
I just
input
think
like I did
myself
here.
personally, I just think your position as selectman should trump any other board.
Yeah.
Not everybody has water, town water.
But all I said is I won't vote, I won't sign the letter. I'm not saying we shouldn't send the letter. I think we should send the letter. But I will not personally sign it because I am on that board as well.
Can I just ask a question? Back, maybe a month ago,
Yeah.
didn't you all vote to send the letter and voted not, it was to vote to send a letter?
We voted to have the letter rewritten and given us time to read it and then to have Mr. Ritter deliver it in person.
Okay.
Uh,
So
then-
now you're changing it to having Mr. Ritter go talk to him?
Yeah,
Well, it's kind of the same thing.
Information
He's
that I
gonna
didn't
bring-
have.
he's got the
before that
letters
point,
with
and I
him.
just was trying to protect the town from coming involved in a litigation
Well,
that
I
they
don't
didn't
think,
need to.
I don't think they can litigate the town. I mean, I don't think that's possible.
No.
I don't understand what requesting information by the Board of Selectmen has anything to do with. I mean,
Right.
with any letter that any taxpayer has written to any department for that matter.
Because he's very angry and his
Jesus.
state of mind is that he feels he's been harassed, and I'm concerned that this is just gonna make him feel more harassed.
Well, he knows
The
it's
day a
coming.
taxpayer comes into my office and I won't give him information because I feel harassed, let me tell you, I've had some, and you can, Carol Reed's office, and I'm sure a lot of us in our departments have had not the nicest people come in. And the day I feel harassed and won't give a taxpayer, resident of this town, information that they're wanting from my office is the day you better boot my ass right out the door.
That's right. He knows these letters will be coming from the Board of Selectmen. Like I said, we had the discussion. So he knows it's coming, Dana knows they're coming, Greg knows they're coming. They know they're coming.
Right, but according to the law that was passed, Chapter 93, Acts of 2000, it has to come from the Board of Selectmen.
Right.
It can't come from a citizen in town. It can come from a citizen in town, but it can be completely and totally disregarded, as it has been in the past, by residents.
Yeah.
Okay? So in order to get any movement or any information, it has to be a request from the Board of Selectmen. Okay? And this, I thought, was the most sensible way to accomplish that goal of getting the information for the town.
Well, you've already talked to him and you got a sense that this was not gonna be
I don't think it will.
an issue for
Because
him.
they know, they all know that the letters are coming. They've known since we voted on it. Yes.
You are in what they call a rock between a rock and a hard place, being on both boards. But I do believe that being a selectman should overrule that. For the longest time, there was this illusion that the light and water were like, when it was alone, was an independent group that could do what the hell they wanted. But in reading the law states that they are to give the selectmen information when it's asked for, that it is not really true that they can do what they want and not communicate with you guys.
Right. Well, that's why we want to
You
send it
know,
back.
and so if he is, Mr. Driscoll was not very nice to the people that went to the meetings over there at all. He just didn't want us there in Virginia, I swear on a Bible. We did nothing to antagonize him. This man is an adult. He is getting paid a lot of money to do a job. He should suck it up and work with the rest of the town, otherwise, nothing's gonna improve. And all the information they have is a public record. So they can throw away the safe, because you guys have the right to ask for information.
Right,
And that,
we do.
and with the water department, we need to look at a budget. Because of all the problems we have, you know, in the town, money's gotta come from somewhere, and we can't wring any more out of the people in this building. That's how I feel.
Any other discussion?
I just had
Oh,
a
I'm
question.
sorry.
I'm a little bit confused. I heard you say you have to do it as a board. I got the impression that someone is saying here that residents and taxpayers can't ask the Light and Water Department for information?
You can't. You have to do it as a public record request.
Exactly, well, I know that.
Yeah.
I'm just
Send it to their
asking,
board.
because I don't know, I just got the impression from what you guys was, I don't know, I just.
Yeah, it's what Julie said, that they has to come from the board of selectmen for them to.
Well, if she asks for it as a person, he certainly is not gonna knock himself out to give it to her. That's pretty much it.
That's why we want to send the
Yeah.
letters.
Having it in writing, it's a written request, they know what we're asking for, and whether they can find the information.
Well, then, can I ask another question? Through you to the chairman of the advisory board. Has the advisory board asked for this information, or for any information from Light
Right,
and Water?
the advisory
Yes,
board
we did.
has asked for the budgets for the water department, which we received. After I had to end up, I got rejected from him initially. I had to read him the Act of 2000. I had to read to him the Enterprise Act and the DLS Act, showing that we had the right to get that information. I also asked for